Good evening, and welcome back to another edition of African Americans Ain't Africans, the Think Show that proves without a shadow of a doubt that the so called African American didn't find their way to America in the trunk of a ship. I'm your host, the Indigenous1. And tonight we're going to look at things through perception. What is the perception that we're looking at the world? How are we looking at it and our part in the world? And how are others looking at us through what we believe or we perceive that we think we are? And I think when you really take a deep look at it and really understand what's going on, we ourselves put ourselves in a horrible situation. And this is what we do to ourselves. Before we get any deeper in it, I'm going to give you a quick example of what I'm talking about. Talking to this young lady today, and she was saying that I didn't get it because she was talking that gender fluid stuff. And I guess she was saying it to try to make me feel some kind of way about it, to get a rise out of me. And I was like, no, you're just saying that because you get it from so-called Black people. What do you mean? What do you mean we get it from so-called Black people? We can be whoever we want to be. And I'm like, isn't that how Black people view it? Isn't that how Black people look at themselves? Are they Black? Are they the complexion of coal? No, but they will call themselves that all day, every day. Will call their mama that, will call their children that, will call their wife that, their husband that, say it, put their chest out, beat their chests with that term, saying that's who they are. Yet when you ask them, is that you? They finally think about it and say, no, well, what I meant, I don't know. No, all that. So that's basically where you're getting it from. You're calling yourself a trans woman when you're a man. Your perception is twisted. Your perception is off. You got people calling themselves cats, mooses, fish. Their perception is off. I don't know what it is. How they perceive stuff. And I contend that they get it from Black people. Isn't that Black people call themselves Black? And when you ask them, well, if you're Black, what color are your pants? And they'll say Black. If that's not the epitome of confusion, tell me what is. This is what they teach their children. Children whose minds haven't even begun to develop yet. This is what's pressed in their minds to start off with. So, with people, Sergeant 144 say their minds are Black. And if you took the sea and turned it 45 degrees to the right, that sea would become an N, blank. You see, we take the terms that other people give us and try to make it fit our lives. It don't work. And you can see all the images, all the problems, I'm sorry, that it causes. And so I have a couple of examples I want to share with you about what the world is putting up, showing Black people to the world on the things that you do. And this is being shown, on different media platforms that others watch because they don't like going to all the platforms that Negroes are on. So they come up with other platforms, far right platforms, coming up with ways to talk about you and spread you to the world. Now, as usual, the Accomack champion is going to be joining me tonight. And she's going to bring up some things that happened in Atlanta today that shows all this propaganda that's put out about you, how other people, it changes their perception about you. But the things we do as a group of people, as a nation of people, especially when the laws are becoming more draconian, we don't listen, we don't read, we don't think. Anything that's put out, like most people, we take it and run with it. So this first image you see on the screen, this was taken from a camera on the house. So everybody's putting cameras in on their mailboxes, on their doorbells, on their homes. And this is a news story about two Black boys walking up to a lemonade stand, white kids, and robbing the lemonade stand. It's about 3 or 4 stories of this just just in the past couple of years alone. So the image being put out on Black kids, Black boys, Black girls is that they're savages. This is especially in the time too where they're talking about grabbing guns, trying to get guns off the street. No, they'll never get the guns off the street. They'll just use them to attack Black kids, which is already being done. You seen the image a couple of months ago where the little Black kid tried to go into a restaurant and rob them with a fake gun and got blown away by a guy. He was just all too ready to kill a cat. The cat was already down and dead. He just kept shooting them. And these are the images we put out for ourselves, called propaganda. And so you see the way this country is going, and they're going to need a scapegoat. Guess who the scapegoat is going to be? Like I said, joining me tonight is the Accomack princess, Miss Lisa Cypress. Lisa, are you there?
I am here.
So what do you think about what's going on?
Hmm. I think desperate times, people. Desperate times. I think folks are desperate to move us off the planet, move us out the way. They're not even bothering to be shy about it. They're just blatantly disrespectful. They have no regard or respect, and they don't care. They don't even hide it, especially when they know that you know who you are. But even if you don't, I think it's time for us to start reacting and responding to propaganda, reacting and responding to these false perceptions they want to make prevalent in the world, because they're putting you and your kinfolk at danger, in direct line of fire, on purpose.
Direct line of fire.
They are trying to create a situation where it's a free for all to kill copper colored males. That's what they're trying to do.
And not only the
And
copper.
we're gonna help them because we're gonna be like, oh, I'm scared to go to a hospital now. Oh, we'll be the first one calling the police. And the real sad thing is, we don't even know that it's real because we don't know. We don't know. This is the thing that you don't know. Even if there was a shooting, which I'm not doubting that. I'm not trying to say I'm doubting that there's a shooting. What I'm trying to say is, was it a sniper that was hired by the powers that be to create hysteria and create and create the perception that, see, you got to understand that we're in Birth of a Nation 2023 right now. They can't just put a movie out and make us look like a bad guys. The movie that's Birth of a Nation is called The News. Can I say that one more time? The movie they call Birth of a Nation is now called The News. So when we look at the news, just like Birth of the Nation, I'm assuming everybody knows what Birth of a Nation is, but when you see that, black-faced white man running around grabbing up the white women and making her fall to her death or whatever, that is now the 6 o'clock, the 24-hour news. Okay, the 24-hour news is showing you that, oh, the Negro is a mass murderer. Or they're gonna come into the Walmart, the medical center, wherever, and gun folks down indiscriminately. Now, you believe it's true because it's the news, right? But this is the thing. They can have an expert sniper go in there, take out one, injure 4 others. Because really, if you're a good shot, why aren't the other ones killed? What, I don't know. But anyway, an expert sniper can expertly make sure they take out one, injure some more, get whatever they decide, and then they got a face they putting on the daggone TV for you, right? Footage that you see that, or a face, a mugshot. Is this person a real person? They could construct an image. You know that. Is it a real person they're bringing into the courts? I don't know. We don't. You see, this is the thing. You don't know. But we believe it. And so, because the colored folk believe what they're shown on television, on the news, because we believe the news like it's Jesus, the God, Almighty Allah, whatever else they want to worship. They worship the news. And our worship of the news has us saying, put the police in schools. Now you got little girls crying because the police are locking them up. They don't get detention, they get locked up. Now, come on now. 6-year-old children are being escorted to the back of police cars because we said, oh Lord, they shooting up schools. Get the police in there. Meanwhile, the plan was to get your babies in jail the entire time. They just had to have your consent, and you gave it. Now you're going to give consent for all your sons to get locked up or murdered because you're going to be like, oh Lord, they're killing in the Walmart. I'm scared to go anywhere because of the news. And you're going to legislate that everybody's going to get locked up. I mean, you're going to legislate that it's a crime to be a young black male in America. I guess that's all I got to say on that.
If you ever make it down to Birmingham, Alabama, what the church where the four little girls were killed, there's a park right across the street from that church. And I don't know. I'm from Los Angeles, and what I think of a park is you take a bottle of wine, the little picnic basket, blanket, go out there with your girl, and just kick it in the park. That's what I think of the park. I think that's what most people think of when they think of a park. At this park in Birmingham, Alabama, right across the street where the four little girls got blown up, I guess the park is trying to pay homage to it or show the history. Real shitty park. It has, now these are images of dogs attacking people. They have images. These are bronze statues of water hoses spraying, shooting kids. The kids' backs are turned, and a water hose are facing their or shooting them in the back. They have one. I mean, this is stainless steel, where the dog is attacking the man, where the ministers are all on their knees with their heads bowed, where children are in jail behind bars. This is in a park. This is in a park. It's not a place where you go have fun and, chill at the park. These are the images in the park. Subsequently, this is how the African American, Black, Negro, colored people's minds are shaped. So it was like Lisa saying earlier, oh, send the kids and send the police into the school so our kids can be. And you're seeing the images that are being put out on young African American, Black, Negro children. Is like she said, Birth of a Nation 2023. And like also said, we don't know. Blacks, Negroes, African Americans, you'll always notice they never know anything. Ever. They never know anything. And so when you go to these platforms, I'm going to play this piece for you right now. This is the image that most people have about the African American. This is a female, but you will be able to understand what's going on. Fuck you, bitch. Fuck you. Bitch, and I'm not bitch. You gotta get out. Fuck you. I'm not gonna take no shit from nobody. I don't give a fuck who you are. So you're as loud as what you sound like. Blah. Bitch. I am a bitch. Come around that color. I want to show you. Bitch. Bitch, I got something waiting on your ass. Go ahead, bitch. You nasty bitch. You're the shitty ass bitch. Why you smell? Walk into the store and it smells like shit. Both y'all walk into the store and it smells like shit. Yeah, that's why this world is a shitty place, because of shitty ass fucking bitches like you and your family. You're nothing but a bitch. A fucking bitch. A fucking bitch. Well, I'm not gonna take no. Now, this, I didn't show the video because it was more embarrassing than that. This woman's a mother. This woman's a mother, and you'll always notice that we're in somebody's store who we should be boycotting anyway. She just told you her kids. She got kids. Imagine your mama acting like that. Any of us. Imagine your mama acting like that, trying to teach you to do the right thing. These are the images, like you say, Birth of a Nation 2023. These are the images. And I just showed you two, found today. They're popping up everywhere. Of course, we don't know about it. These are the images put up everywhere showing the world this is how you act. And with all of the immigration taking place in America, with all the brothers on the street shell shocked from these wars they've been in and thinking, taking a real hard thought about what they did when they in these wars, and they get back home, and the people who are they at war with, now these people are over here with an advantage over them, and they're on the street homeless like, what the fuck? You see the position we put ourselves in? And when it's all said and done, the three words out of our mouth, I didn't know. That's all we do. Lisa?
Yeah, so we don't know. I guess some people just don't know. Or at least they pretend they don't know. They act like they just don't want to think. They don't want to believe certain things. That's the fatal flaw. Why, why would they do that? Why would they do that? And then they want to perceive that everybody who actually sees what's going on, that you're just being defensive or you're just being hostile. You come off as hostile when you know something and you're enraged because these people are intentionally doing things to folk, right? But you're oblivious. So because you're oblivious, right? The person that's sounding the alarms looks like they're the one with the issue. Right? You look like you're the one with the issue. Oh, fine. The conversation was fine. Meanwhile, you're being lied to, you're being misled, you're being distracted, but you're happily falling down a big trap. So what's a person to do with that kind of ignorance? I don't know. But I continue to speak up because although you might be ignorant and I can't help you, and all you're going to do is think, well, why is she so defensive? I can't help you. But there are people who are maybe a little bit more astute who will say, wait a minute, why are they telling me this stuff? Does it even make sense? See, if you are really you being perceptive, you will have your perception in line. So when you have your perception in line, you're going to be like, okay, so why is he saying this? And is it logical? Is there any evidence? How is that going to impact or help me? How is it going to help me? Right? But if all you're doing is listening for entertainment and you like the sound of a man's voice and you crave some male attention, then of course you're gonna not really understand that this pimp or whoever is trying to push this news or information that is meant to distract you. That is what it exactly is. It is a distraction. It is misinformation. You will not recognize it. And if even somebody jumping in the middle of the street, waving flags and flashing lights doesn't tell you that there's something you should be aware of, and all you're going to do is say, oh, why are they being so defensive? I'm trying to drive through this off this cliff. Let me drive. I'm such a pain in the butt. That kind of thing. If you don't want to know, that's not for you to know. But for the people that really need to be aware, this is the things we need to be looking at. We need to know. If y'all need to, you need to know that the news is like today's birth of a nation. You need to be aware of that. The fact that we allow our images to be just maligned, we know that horrendous things are being done every day by other races and never being portrayed. We know we are being this is propaganda. This is damage, intentional damage to our identity. But we allow it in 2020. Why do we allow that in 2020? Why do we allow our history, people in history, our ancestors to be called African Americans, let alone let them call us whatever they want, African Americans, black. Make you a foreigner or a dead person in your own land. But yet you're not worried about that. You worried about nonsensical things. See, you want to disrespect the fact that people need to be doing real things, and you don't even differentiate to who you're listening to. You want to listen to somebody who ain't doing nothing but distracting you, rather than listen to somebody who actually is working to try to make things change. You don't even know the difference, because that's the way we are. We want Disney World stories. We want Disney World news. We want the fake propaganda. We don't want anyone shaking us out of our sleep. We don't want anybody rattling our daggone misperceptions. We want to just be lullabied, and we want to be sweet talked down the wrong path. I'm closing my mic.
So the reality, I mean, you ought to be able to see this by now. It's right in your face. And I'm sure way more people than us see it. We just like to keep our mouths shut and don't say anything. So when you talk about people who should be looking out for our best interest, who would you call in government? Who would that be? Your government officials, your councilmen, and all that? That's not being done. Because in most neighborhoods I go to, most Negro, African American, Black Negroes I go to, the economics are being ran, just like Malcolm said 60 years ago, are being ran by outsiders. They're coming in robbing your community. You're ripping off your community. You knock old people over the head every day. Think it's cool. What do you think the world thinks when they see you? So when you look at all these videos from all these other nations coming over here, they tell you straight up what the government tells them when they coming in here. Watch them African Americans. Watch your back around them. Then on social media, on regular TV, how do they show you? Always, it's The Wire, damn near on every station you get. You play the role willingly, not thinking about nothing, not thinking about your children are being trafficked. You don't care, because if you talk to any FBI agent, especially the black ones, they'll tell you it's the brothers going and kidnapping the sisters and selling them. Isn't that how all this got started in the first place? See, brothers don't want to talk about that because it smashes their ego. You see what I'm saying? What I mean, what Jesus saying? He coming back soon? What I mean, what? This is what you're training up your children into, and the rest of the world see it. See, people are coming over here from the other side of the world, India, Africa, China, and they're bringing their parents with them. What does that say to you? They have no intention on coming back. They're taking your spot. Why? Because soon you won't be here. You're locked up in jail a lot. How since you have what, over a million cats behind jail, how many babies does that ensure we don't have? Not only babies, that takes out the grandbabies too, right? Then we want to play boys can be girls, girls can be boys. You can't make no babies that way, can you? No. So that's how your numbers get dwindled. The girls down here going to the prom now are going with each other dressed in tuxes. How are you continuing the flow of life that way? You're not. Are you saying that you just that's all we do. Never look at the reality of things. That single parent stuff, I fighting over the kids, huh, that doesn't work, right? Yet we keep on repeating the same, like not don't teach the kids nothing. Keep sending them to the schools that didn't teach you nothing. So that's what I mean. We really don't care about ourselves, because you damn don't care about the children. Because if you cared about yourself, you'd care about them and make sure that this wiping out that is going on with you won't happen. We cool with it. One day I just want you to just go through, you can go through your neighborhood, your city where you are. Go just take the biggest city, what you're near. If you're in a place like Kansas City, check out Dallas or Chicago. If you're in a place like Birmingham, check out a place like Atlanta or Memphis. If you're in a place, like Phoenix, check out Los Angeles or some of the bigger cities. See what's going on in the bigger cities with us. Now, a lot of us will say, "Oh, it's everybody doing it." Nah. Some people have a culture. You're not going to call somebody else. You're not going to go to India and call those people something that they're not. They'll correct you on the spot. Anybody can come here and say you're anything, and you'll just shake your head to it, like they can call you whatever they want to call you. So, Lisa has some things she wants to share now. So, we're going to let her get to it. Lisa?
Oh no, I was enjoying the flow. It's flowing nicely.
Oh, we going to keep flowing.
Okay, so I was just looking at what Diamond in the Rough Lawn said, and I just wanted to kind of like let's kind of examine this and how this is a misperception as well. Let's see if can I. I'm not. Can you show it? I'm not allowed. I'm not able to share. Oh, can I? It's not. I'm not able to put it up there. Can you put it up there?
Yeah, it's up. You don't see it?
Oh no, it is up there.
It's up
Okay.
there.
Okay. Cool. I don't know what's going on. Maybe my thing's frozen. Anyway, um, so with this, the Constitution, right? So now I understand how there is a misperception because if the first site I googled to was a black site, blacksomething.com, and they had the three-fifths thing, and they had littered everything they wrote with, you know, African or Negro or slave or what black slave or but the reality is that the words don't say anything about black. Really, the only race thing that's about the Indian being accepted Indian non-tax. It didn't apply to Indian non-tax. So if you're in your right status, first of all, that three-fifths stuff doesn't apply to you. That's the first thing you should notice. The other thing is, the three-fifths rule doesn't actually say a race, unless somebody can. It actually says enslaved person. And honey, there was plenty of enslaved white folk. So the three-fifth rule is not necessarily you. But see, the thing about it, this is the thing, until we start dealing with people who aren't dealing directly with what's going on in this country in a real way, nothing's going to change. Okay. Because you got a whole bunch of people talking you in circles and you're enjoying it. You're just lapping it up. But the reality is we should be correcting stuff. Like, what is this? Why are we not getting any information about these white slaves in this United States? Why are we being taught that being a Negro is synonymous with being a slave? Why aren't we being taught that the Negroes were in the court filing for their freedom? Where were the white people? I don't even see those cases because they probably didn't even have the right to do it. I see them getting charged for fornication, but I don't see them fighting for their rights. Who were really the downtrodden in this country in the beginning? See, first of all, we got to get the past perceptions corrected as well, because that's why you can't stand on your ground with strength now, because you're rocky as to who you are, and you're allowing foreigners, these same foreigners who took this land from you 500 years ago, these same Moors and other foreign Europeans, to misdirect you. You're not listening. You're not looking into yourself. You're not listening to your ancestors, and you're not researching yourself. You're not researching yourself. The person that did black.com, whatever, when they talk about the three-fifths rule, they make sure that you think it's only you. But if you look elsewhere, you find out that it isn't just you. And you also should see that it doesn't apply to the Indian. So what are you doing? See, we have to question, research, examine, think, inspect. We can't just let people feed us anything verbatim. We can't. Because it'll have you thinking you're three-fifths of a man. That's not even true. And then that's where it becomes important again to know your own history. Are your people slaves? Were they slaves? And understand, once you get way back, out of 64 grandparents, how many were slaves? Out of 32 grandparents, how many were slaves? So does that apply? How does that make it apply to you? That's the other question. That's why it's important that you just don't let any. I know it's work to find to figure out these things, but it's worth your while than to let somebody just tell you who you are, what you are. When you know it, can't nobody tell you nothing. And people don't like that when they can't tell you who you are. And they going to tell you some history and you ain't accepting that verbatim. They get very, very angry because they're being frustrated because they're used to manipulating the American Indian. They're used to manipulating and controlling us. And they're used to us just lapping up whatever they say. And yeah, you're a slave. And yeah, your people were slaves. You got daggone immigrant Africans just been here 10 years and they're sitting up there saying, oh yeah, you come from slaves. I was born here, First generation. They sitting up there looking down at you, talking about us eating slave food. And are you kidding me? But we can't say nothing when we don't know what our background is. We don't have the research. We can't stand firm. Let her had done that and found somebody who was aware of themselves. And she gets her little neck snap back with some facts. That's what we all should be able to do. Is correct everybody's neck with the facts. You can't tell us not a thing about us. No more in this country are you going to define who we are. You're going to put our people on television, make us look like a bunch of daggone animals, and we're not going to have anything to say about it because there are people in this society that do have that control. They are controlling that their images don't look like that. None of the people that they put in position to be our so-called leaders are saying those things for us on behalf of us because they're all paid and controlled by the authorities. But until we actually wake up to what the authorities are doing to us, we can't even speak up about it. And then you wanna coddle and caress these people in social media who ain't doing nothing about it. They're not saying anything to the authorities. They're not dealing with any the misperceptions that are out there. They're not addressing the injustices that are going on. They're not addressing the propaganda because they're part of the propaganda and they're part of the distraction. That's the thing.
And remember, those are so called authorities. There is no authority greater than you outside of yourself.
Right?
That's something we got to know. That's something our children have to know. You can't say nothing. You're just born on you on this planet for 80 years and you never say nothing. You only do what you're told. What percentage of the African American population do you think go by that rule? Think about it. Think about it. How can somebody just come where your great great grandmama's from and start telling you what to do? And you do it. Matter of fact, you happy to do it. And if you go to where they're from and you did the same thing, you'd come up missing. And so we have to remember that a whole bunch of this stuff, this is what we do to ourselves. This is what we teach our children. You heard the lady in that store screaming and talking like that. If you would have seen the video, you would have said typical. Because this is how we act. Always mad at each other. Anybody else? So it's like what Lisa said earlier. We be begging the police to come into the school when it's the police mowing you down in the street. That's not the way people who want to survive act. So that should tell you life isn't a priority to the African American. Is it? We don't really care about life. We have no respect for it. So what are we doing here? What are we teaching our children? What are we teaching our grandchildren to play basketball and football? Because that's all they did in the Roman circuses was sports. Play sports to keep the people distracted. Don't you have about 8 football league now? Don't you have women in bikinis playing football now? Got to keep you distracted. Facebook users say they're dumb. That's the bottom line. Is Facebook user wrong? No. And what I think we're gonna have to define what dumb is, because a lot of people take it as you disrespecting me. No, what dumb is to me is a person who can't speak, a person who can't hear, a person who can't talk. What is that a bad thing? Because that's what we do. Every time somebody comes talking with the truth, they always get shouted down by first of all a Christian, right? People supposed to be so deep in this deity, they don't even read the book they're given. Ever. Just go along with what some preacher says. And then when you show them, look, man, this is what it says, they'll still go with it. So that's what I'm saying. What you call the African American, what you call the Black, what you call the Negro, they're really not into living. They're into being Black. And we all know Black means dead, right? Lisa, do you want to share those images? So all these images that are being put out, all these images of how we just dropping dead, what the track star, the Olympian, she just dropped dead today. How is that happening? She's probably in the top 1% of physically fit people. She just drops dead. People who are the scum of the earth that are rotting in jails to live to be 100 years old, they still alive. And your top 1% athletes are dropping dead. Explain that. How we never say nothing? How come how come somebody else is always telling us we're dead? Explain that. And all the people that are quick to kick my ass never have nothing to say to nobody else. Never. We love to beat each other down. But somebody can come over here from Bangladesh and pimp you and you cool with it. Isn't that normally how it goes? So if we say, listen, y'all, find your families. Just do a quick search on your family. It's getting easier and easier now because more people are doing it. More people are finding out. More people are, they're not taking that part of the mother where we always dogging out the sisters. That's not happening. Some people are really checking out their mothers, their grandmothers, their great grandmothers, their great great grandmothers, and seeing their great grandfathers, their great great grandfathers, and seeing who these people are. Lisa, you want to share those images with us?
No, I lost them.
Okay. So remember, guys, ch- check your folks out. Check you out. Because remember, so you know how when you say when you eat, you're supposed to eat vitamins and minerals and iron and all of that. Remember, where you come from, those minerals are passed down to you from your parents, from your grandparents, from your great great grandparents. You pass those on to your children, your grandchildren, and you keep the line, the cycle of life going, right? Isn't that what we're supposed to be doing? Keeping the cycle of life going? Where are we now? Where are we now with that? How are we acting with that? Are we making sure that that idea stays in place? Or are we just saying we don't want to do that no more? We not with living no more. We not about that life. So remember, it's your perception. Don't let your perception be taken over by other people and have them tell you how things are. What do you say? How do you see it? And that's what we got to be paying attention to. Your perception. If you seeing what other people tell you to see, you blind as a bat. Lisa?
I'm with you.
Yeah, I see. So you don't, oh, you lost. Okay, I see what you're saying. Oh, okay. You got that, Lise? Oh, so remember how something appears, how it's given to you is not what it always seems. It's just given to you that way so you can look at it that way, so you can take on that view and make that view a reality in your life. That's all that's being done. Nobody knows your thoughts. Nobody knows what's been passed down to you. Of course, if you cough it up and tell them they do. But other people putting their ideas and their beliefs in your mind and then you take them over and you start to believe and live that life, we've seen how this turns out. We have a generation, and I can see it uh, perfectly now because this is the generation that raised me. 90% of the shit they said was garbage. 90%. And now that they're ready to die, they don't want to die. But I'm like, I thought you was going to be with Jesus. Then they get this look on their face like, what you talking about? This is what you practice and this is what you said your whole life. The Lord is going to take care of it. Now you're about to leave us with something that you really didn't even have no faith in the beginning. How much longer do you think that ideology is going to go through the generations? Because if you haven't noticed already, churches are closing down all over the place. Because that ideology doesn't work no more. It don't work. So some changes in the world are happening. I'm just hoping that the way we think as a nation of people now doesn't stay the same. Lisa, I'm passing the mic.
Well, yeah, I hope that it doesn't stay the same. I feel the same way about it. We got to do something different if we want something different out of this life. We got to do something different if we want something different for our descendants. That 7 to 10, 7 to 200 generations ahead, we've got to change. We cannot keep falling for propaganda, misdirection, distraction. We've got to be on our jobs, getting things done exactly the way we need to have them done. And somebody else's agenda, somebody else's story, somebody else's priorities cannot be our own. We don't have time for that. And the people that don't understand it, well, they just don't understand us. And the people that don't get it, well, you just don't get it. But we really have no time to lose. We really don't. And I know you were talking about these people with their sex reassignment and just the fact that they're making it so it's easy, right? They want trans kids to be able to start treatment even younger. Like, these kids don't even they're hormones. Nothing has actually settled down in them. They don't know anything. How in the world are you going to start cutting off body parts and giving out hormones that you don't even know what the effects are going to be? Nor do people care, evidently. They don't care. They really don't care. The fact that they are be willing to do this is a really sad thing. But that's what they're trying to do. What you got to say about that?
It has to be the saddest thing I've ever seen. And the thing that gets me about it is the parents, the adults who are supposed to be are pushing along with it. That's what I'm not getting. These are, And you know, and if you look at the age of these kids that they're talking about, and this is something we gotta keep in mind. Remember that crack epidemic we had years ago? Wouldn't the children that are going through this, wouldn't they be the children of those crack kids? I'm just trying to add it up and make it make sense. Wouldn't they be around the same age? You have what they could do in trans stories in schools. You know, it's almost like that Greek, we listening to them Greek mythology stories about how people would give up their sons to go camping with these grown men, go out in the woods with these grown men. This is what this stuff seems like. And the adults, many of the adults just send their schools like, oh, it's cool. Don't we all know somebody whose kids are into this stuff? The quickest way to decimate a population is to cut off the flow of children, right? Right? We think, I see people get mad. You don't tell me what to do. Yeah, yeah, diamond in the rough. You're right. The crack babies are your age. So your age have children that's what? 18, 15, 14, 13. The age that these kids are going through that stuff. Did that crack thing have anything to do with that? Does all this artificial food and drink, does that have something to do with it? Does all that estrogen and all this stuff in the food, does that have something to do with it? Do all these images that are put out in the media and in song have something to do with it? So diamond in the rough. So you saying you 38. Uh, I don't know if this you were born when this group called NWA came out. When this group called NWA came out, I was about 24 or 25. When that group came out, I was like, that's the end of music. And everybody in LA loved them. They were like, I don't know why, because we just came off of some of the bombest music in the 70s. So this group came out and the music sucked. I didn't get it. No instruments, when you got brothers and sisters taking those instruments and weaving them together and making that one sound, it's off the hook. So you know what rap was doing. They was just taking sampling from other people, blah, blah, blah. But this is when I knew the music thing was over and it was going to get bad. Because I said it to myself. They had a song called A Bitch is a Bitch. And this is when it really started dogging women out. Really started dog. And the cold part about it is the women was moving their hips to it. Like, yeah. I was like, this shit is over. Fast forward from 1980, I think they came out like 86, 87, like that. They came out from then to now, you wouldn't even recognize the world before that came out. And these cats are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. These cats are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which is nothing to us, but it lets you know what they did for that culture. This and the music has been going downhill fast with no breaks ever since. Is that how you see it, Lisa?
Well, I'm a hip, I'm a hip hop person, so no, I don't necessarily see it that way. I, we're the same age, but I'm on East Coast, so Sugar Hill Gang, Run DMC. I was at their concerts. I saw LL in person. I saw the majority of the first Biggies in person, including the horrible Beastie Boys that we booed off the stage in Long Island. But um, yeah, no, I like I like hip hop. This is the thing about us. We are innovators and creators, which is why you have to know that we weren't standing hopping around in circles, hitting the same beat over and over again for centuries. Um, we are always evolving. They take the music out of schools. We can still make music. We're always inventing. Hip hop is just part of that. Um, it is another. I mean, and this is the thing. Um, it has impacted the world in a way that surpasses rock and roll, because rock and roll was quickly imitated and taken over and remixed by the Anglos. However, hip hop, the Beastie Boys tried to do that. Um, Vanilla Ice, it failed, and then you have what's his name? What's the other one?
Ice, baby.
No, I said Vanilla Ice, the younger one. The one my name is Slim Shady. What is his name? Lord. Anyway, that Slim Shady guy. Y'all know in the chat who I'm talking about. But anyway, there's not that many. Even though there is something about hip hop that, although it's pimped out of us by a lot of Anglos that try to be experts of hip hop and do other things and make a lot of money out of our artists and whatever man and any means, by all means necessary. It is still Eminem. Thank you, Diamond. Eminem. It is still cheap, and then he is in our record label. He's not in a he's not under a white or a Anglo record label. So basically, it's a genre like all the other genres of music that we created, that I'm telling you, the globe is impacted about by this in a major way. In a major way. And so I don't really snarl at it or dislike it. First of all, like I said, I was rapping and listening to the music, as a young person when it, first came out. And, I continue to be a, distant fan, a little bit more distant as I get older. Like, I'm not up on any, really with the rap music or hip hop music today very much. But, like, I still vibe if you're going to tell me, that, Cool Mo D's coming to town, where I might just, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I might want to see him, or I don't know. I don't know if I would. I have done that, but I was disappointed when I saw some of the old heads come out and do a show. I wasn't very impressed, so I don't know if I go out again. But my point is that it's a very powerful medium. Music is powerful anyway, and everything we do, the world rocks with us. So I can't really say anything about it. We're always inventing new stuff that controls the world. But what we don't do with it is what's disappointing to me. The fact that gangster rap became gangster rap. You know what I mean? The fact that it was turned into a negative, that turned into people getting murdered and all this. They did that to us intentionally. And no more than that, we consented to it. We permitted it. And we had sellout musicians who went along to get along to make the music when they never should have consented to that stuff. They never should have said, you know what, we're not going to rap about this. We're going to rap about love and families, or we're going to rap about, just like struggling to make things happen or getting my business together or going ahead and, creating this something or, positive things that will edify the people. Rap was initially pretty positive and entertaining, but it just got, it was not destroying us. So they had to make sure it was something that was going to destroy us, and they succeeded. Why we let people keep handing us an agenda and a purpose and, all this propaganda is the problem that keeps happening to us over and over again. New Jack City love. Why did we love crack cocaine? Because of New Jack City. Why did we love it? For the love of money. That song is so powerful because the beat is so good. New Jack City, that daggone. And who is that? That's anyway. That beat is what made the movie, really. And then Trump, he used that same song for his show. That's what made Negroes love Trump, because they were like, yeah, he got that beat on his show. You know what I mean? We are so impacted by music, and yet we don't use that to transform ourselves. That's how we become the superheroes. When we take a hold of our own gifts and use those gifts to edify ourselves, that's when we get our superpowers. But nobody wants to listen to somebody tell them that. They rather listen to some idiot telling them about some Hotep shit or some stuff over in Egypt or some Moroccan stuff, or they want to listen to that. They don't want to listen to what we need to do to take care of us. They don't want to know that if you know who you are, this whole 3/5 of a slave rule don't apply to you. Stop letting people misdirect you. Your perception should be keenly focused on what is true, what can be proven, and what the solutions are. Don't let nobody get you running into a burning fire or running from a burning fire. Don't let nobody misdirect you. They have to get your consent to these things. And what they do is they bully, coerce, and they cajole you and manipulate you into saying, oh, yeah, yes, yes, I agree. We need help. We need help. And they said, yeah, just like I thought, Ninja. Just like I thought, Ninja. You need some help, Ninja. Of course you do. Of course you do. Can't do nothing by yourself, can you? Yeah, we got a ghost to protect you from your own people. Ain't that a trip? Sad, sad, sad. Meanwhile, they getting murdered, eaten, daggone, molested, raped by their own people in record numbers, but you won't ever hear about it. It ain't on the news. It's just not there. Close the mic.
Yeah, so so I think that's when you come male and female, that's where I think or that's one of the things that I like about the whole dynamic. We're opposite, but yet we're on the same page. Things that the female may like, the male may like the total opposite, and vice versa. I don't think that a male would want to turn into a female or become a female. I think that's just taking it a bit too far. I think they're complementary components to each other. What the male and female can do together is create life. A male that wants to be a female or a female that wants to be a male lives their lives like that, I think it cuts down on the possibilities of life shining through. Matter of fact, I'm certain of it. So, that's one of the dynamics. And we can say, was were we so if we say music has a powerful influence on us, what are the 20-year-olds today compared to the 20-year-olds 40 years ago? Is that evolving, or is that an evolving, or is that devolving? It's kind of like some of the neighborhoods you go into, that are being gentrified. How are they being gentrified? I've heard that we didn't take care of the neighborhoods that we lived in. Is that evolving or devolving? Now somebody will say, stop it, wait a minute. You don't know. I mean, seriously. Just because a company shuts down their work, whatever, the car companies or whatever, on the East Coast, they shut down factories. We, all those years, we just thought it was going to go like that. Later, for what other people were thinking, especially what our grandparents and great grandparents, we weren't looking ahead 7 generations. No, no, a few people were, of course, most definitely they were. But what's happened? Were we looking to 7 generations 40 years ago? Sure, some were. Most were not. Are the guys that are sitting in jail now, are they thinking 7 generations ahead? No. Of course, there will be some that'll, yes, they are. You don't know what they, yeah. Yeah, okay. So this is what I'm saying, man. What I'm seeing is are that our numbers are dropping. Numbers are dropping. Do we even like children? Be honest. Because I know one thing that the African American, one thing that they're really good at, and that's lying. Are we trying to keep ourselves moving along? Are we trying to keep ourselves healthy? Are we trying to get back to producing food again? A few are, most are not. Lisa, can you take the mic for a minute?
Well, well, I think that I don't know. I mean, I I don't know about every place where I know where what's going on with the population, but there's a lot of young boys in Atlanta, a lot. And as far as gentrification and the us running things down, I can tell you from the places that I've known that have gentrified, that I've lived in or have family in. The difference that happens is they raise the taxes, they withdraw the quality of upkeep in the city or in the project or wherever it happens to be. In other words, they're not keeping the streets swept. They're not picking up trash like they should. They're not, repairing the sidewalks. They're not doing the things that keep that keep a town looking what it needs to be, doing the upkeep and repair that keeps the town up. They're not getting rid of old buildings or doing what that the stuff that you have to do to maintain a city. Do we have bad leaders when we're in towns and we run ourselves? Well, a lot of times we do. We have people that are in our own communities that don't care about their own people and just try to keep the money for themselves. Now, then we have to understand, just because they're skin folk, don't believe they're kinfolk, they're kinfolk, because they may not be you. They may be one of these descendants of those evil Europeans that came in and was trying to get you out of your land a long time ago, and they're still here trying to take you for a ride today. But whatever the case is, whether they are actual indigenous or whatever they're immigrants or whatever they are, we also have to hold these people accountable. The other thing is, some of these places that people want to say were run down weren't necessarily run down. Some of them were just fine and they were lovely places to stay, but like I said, when compared to when the other people come in, they actually get the same housing and they get grant money. It becomes a historical site or whatever. They find a mechanism to give them a hand up. Tax breaks, grants are found or granted to these people who are immigrating into your indigenous towns. And they all of a sudden there's funds for them to build and to beautify where there was no money to build, repair, or beautify before. So that's another thing that happens with gentrification. That's the thing. So I mean, yeah, um, we got a lot of folks that are in jail. Some of them are just dumb. Some of them haven't, thought out what they should be doing, what they shouldn't be doing. But then you have to know that this daggone system is also set up to put us in that place. It's set up to put us in that place on a very long and permanent basis. People that are not us don't go to jail for the same crimes like we go to jail. They make up laws just so we can be in prison. So I mean, we gotta understand that.
So do you think we ever will?
Social experiment, diamond in the rough, the lawn care said. First, they put the sugar in the lab mice water. Second, they took away 50% of the food. Third, they took the male mice out the project. Fourth, they noticed the mice turned gay and started killing each other. I guess eating each other too. Wow. That's crazy. No, I hadn't heard of that, diamond in the rough. That's crazy. They know because there's a movie out about that social experiment that they did back in the 70s with the college students that they locked into a hallway for, I don't even know, I think it was that long. And they started beating each other and the guards started being abusive and it was crazy. People went crazy. People actually lost their minds just they were getting paid a couple of dollars a day, and they just lost their minds. They forgot that it was a freaking experiment. So yeah, they're experimenting with us every day. And until we realize they're experimenting with us every day, things are not going to get better. I mean, I know it's for a lot of people. I'm gonna be honest here. For a lot of people, it hurts because they don't even want to think that that is happening, and then they'll question, why did I have these children, or why did I do this, or why am I this, or what? And they don't want to do that, so they put this kind of stuff out of their minds. That's what people do. They put it out of their minds because if this is the way this world really is, then they feel like, well, why am I here? What am I going? They question everything about their lives, and they don't want to question everything about their lives. They just want to be oblivious. They don't want to know what's really going on, because if they really know, they'd be scared, or they'd be mad, or they don't want to even feel those feelings. How come we don't just remove ourselves from the system? Well, Thomas Lee, that has to be done in a way that makes sense, right? People make compounds, and people make these little kind of like Move was in Philadelphia. They tried to remove themselves from the system, but they occupied a house and they didn't take out, they didn't have garbage service, and they was doing, the kids didn't have coats. It was weird stuff going on with Move, with Africa, the
They
African.
didn't do it. They didn't do it right.
They didn't do it right, and there's a right way and a wrong way. So when we say, why don't we just remove ourselves from the system, Thomas Lee, I will tell you this: the way you properly remove yourself from the system is be the indigenous people that you are correctly. See, the thing about when these social organizations is that they ain't all you. And the problem with anybody will tell you is, if you got a lot of non-people, non-your people in the mix, it gets real messy. You need to be with your people to build. Also, when you are with your actual homeland and your actual people, then you can actually say, like, we're doing as Accomack Indians, give us back our land. Not, I'm just going to take this land. Give us back what's in the records that is our land. When you do it the correct way and actually petition and litigate for your own soil, then you are doing it the right way. When you say we are the original people and it's recorded in the court, now we're not in your jurisdiction, leave us alone, then you got legs you're standing on legally, lawfully. When you declare yourselves by declaration and affidavit that you are your original people, not just a made up name, then you are lawfully, legally standing in that constitutional, I'm an Indian non-tax status. You have to be able to do it in the right way. And yeah, it can happen. But see, guess what? People think everything's so hard. They don't want to do anything that's hard, but they don't think it's hard to have people change your life and control you and tell you you can't go out of your house and tell you you can't drive your car and tell you you can't grow this in your yard and tell you don't think that's hard? It's all in your perception.
About 6 months ago, Lisa asked me, had I ever seen this movie called Sounder? And for those of you who haven't seen it, I mean, I wouldn't recommend it. But when you looked at the movie, you were seeing how we were living back in the day, the land, the houses that were on the land. It was totally different the way it is now. Even in the so-called country where a lot of people live, how the people lived on the land and the land they were on, they didn't want that. They wanted the bright lights of New York and LA. That's what they wanted. So when you say, how come we just don't move away from the system? That's all many of us know. The people who left that farmland and that country, they moved away to the cities and have no intentions of coming back. And their children don't know nothing about where their parents came from, haven't been taught about it, haven't went down to visit it, nothing. So when you say why don't we just remove ourselves from the system? because the system is the titty that's been feeding us our whole life, to be honest. Now, do I believe that it's getting worse and one day we won't have no choice? I believe that. And also, like you say, farming is the way to go. Are we eating better now or are we eating better than when we were farming?
When you know what's going into the soil, when you know what's going into the animals that you're eating, and they're not eating a bunch of soy and byproducts and tires. You don't know they be feeding these animals bits of total garbage.
Tires.
No, seriously. You don't think they put little pieces of rubber tires and shred it into the damn feed?
Of course.
Of course they do. We're eating all kinds of trash. The birds that we're eating are full of trash. The cows. These people will give them anything. Yeah. No, Diamond, you don't need to go back. You probably don't need to go back any further. That's way back for that area. Way back. That's far enough, girl. You there. Or I don't know if it's a girl. I'm saying Diamond could be a guy. I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, no, that's far enough. She was at let me put it on. Oh, I can't even, I have no control. But yeah, Diamond asked a question. Well, the vegetables are just as putrid as the meats because they're not even vegetables. They're printed. They're GMO. They're not even real. And I noticed as soon as I had vegetables and how nasty they smell. They smelled more disgusting and more putrid than the meat going bad. After a few days, your vegetables smell like crap. That's not normal. So being on a vegetable diet ain't necessarily more healthy than a freaking meat diet, cause it's all freaking turned to crap. Unless you're growing it and you know it, it ain't no good. And if you're feeding your daggone chickens and you're giving them like, you know, great seeds and wonderful worms and great freaking daggone plants and all kinds of stuff. You know what's in that chicken? That chicken is good. That's not bad for you. Come on now. We used to eat hogs, but we slopped our hogs. And the hogs we knew they ate. They ate milk. They had milk, old bread, stale bread, old pieces of cobs of corn. I mean, we know what they ate. We know what they ate. And they were good. They didn't make people sick. Our grandparents lived a long, healthy life. But see, also, when you go to a vegan or whatever diet, you know that feminizes the men too, because a lot of that's built out of soy rather, and just not getting that testosterone, it does something to a man. They lose their fire. I'm just sorry. That's just my opinion. All this is my opinion, and it means nothing. But I'm just saying.
And Diamond says he's a man. So
Sorry,
Diamond, so
Diamond.
Diamond, this
Diamond.
is
Yeah, you went back far enough. That is very very fantastic. Pretty much for that area, and and especially if you're finding that that's your homeland, and especially if you got like people that still have land in the area, or you got grandparents that had land in that area, that county. That's key. That's your homeland. And then it's your job to go and be the expert of deep diving into who were those Indians in Pulaski County, North Little Rock. Who were those Indians? What were their names? Look for old books. Go digging in libraries. Go digging online. Go to yard sales. I mean, anywhere. Go to libraries anywhere. Like I said, you'll find books about your homeland and even genealogy books in the town near you, no matter where you are in the country, because these things are all over the place. So don't think I got to go back there to find anything about my particular county. I got to go back there and that's the only way. No, there are the archives, and there's also the fact that you have libraries that have books from all over the place, and they also have genealogy information in those libraries from all over the place. So you don't know what kind of gem you might run into. You also might find an Indian book that's specifically about Little Rock area in your local library or local yard sales or your local antique markets. So look all over the place. You're welcome.
So Diamond, check this out. You know what's funny about Arkansas? This is a trip. You ever heard of a group of cats? They call themselves Washita Moors. You know where they get the name Washita from? The Washita Indians in Arkansas that lived in those Washita Mountains.
Shoot, Diamond might be a what? Oh, well, he's in Little Rock, so he might not be
No,
in.
but that yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
They stole that name. They just changed the spelling because the Washita Indians spelled it Ouchita. See, he
Mm.
already did it. See, oh, and then also since your name is Diamond, check out the Ohio Players drummer. His name was Diamond.
Mm.
Bad dude.
Yeah, man. That's what it is. We are just that close to empowering ourselves and having the power to change that. It's just you're right there. You when you know your family, you're already there. You just gotta take the next extra steps of changing everything from a family reunion to the family nation. And then extend it to the other people that are your kinfolk that's in the same county that is also part of your nation. And not just that county, but extend it to the, you got to find out what their area was, because you may be 3 counties deep, your people, 4 counties deep, 5, 6 counties. It could be a whole territory. I don't know.
Right.
So that's what you got to look into. But the land is yours. You just got to get yourself in your right status, because these people been claiming to be us forever. We got people in and walking around with our skins on forever, pretending to be us, benefiting from what we should have, and it's time for that to end. Now, this young man, did somebody put underneath this? This is the guy who killed like 6 people or something in Virginia a few months ago in Chesapeake, Virginia. And somebody saw this picture in the news thing. He said, "Look at him. Looks like he deserves whatever. What do you expect from that?" So he's frowned up in this picture. I don't even know. We don't even know, is this a real person? We don't know what it is, right? Though he does have Virginia Indian look to him. But we don't know what really the circumstances of who the shooter was, or if this is the guy. We don't know anything. We are being led by the nose by Birth of a Nation news, right? We don't know, but Birth of a Nation news is real news. We don't know what it is, right? So, but what this is supposed to do is supposed to make you look like the villain. You are the villain in the movie. You are the villain in the news. Okay, this is supposed to make not just the Anglos upset, but it's supposed to make you mostly upset, and you're gonna plead for somebody to come and rescue you and get rid of these heathens, and then they're gonna make crazy laws where if you just look like you coming somewhere, they can shoot you. You know what I mean? You are going to say okay to it. You are gonna say okay. Go ahead, shoot us. That's what we do over and over again. And it comes a time we have to stop being the dummies to say, okay, shoot us. Now this one is the Walmart employee fatally shoots a customer. This is another one that happened. Okay. But what kind of news is this? I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but I know the purpose of it. I know a lot of daggone other things are going on that we're not hearing about, But they are putting these stories in our face on purpose so that we will say, oh my God, we've gone crazy. Black boys are horrible. Let's get rid of them. That's what it's for. Now, we had a conversation the other day. And what were we saying? I mean, you were talking about this.
Yeah. One more thing, Diamond. Uh, Diamond in the rough lawn care. You already taking care of the earth anyway. So you there, dude. You there. Yeah, I mean, in almost every city you go to, you see these cats all over the place. I mean, and they lay on the concrete like the concrete is a comfortable bed. But if you get a chance to talk to these cats, buy them a cup of coffee, buy them a bottle of water, a bag of chips, or a hamburger or something, and talk to these cats and listen to their stories, it'll blow you away. So with a couple of cats I see in my city, they look like just like this, but they have this disillusioned look in their face. And I'm like, I be out, man. I mean, man, what's your story? What happened? Why you out here like this? What your mama saying about you being out here like this? Some of them will start crying. But what I find is a lot of these cats are ex-military. And the disillusioned look in their face is they're like, man, I went over and I killed some Afghanistanis. I killed some Iraqis. I killed some Iranians. Now these people over here doing business in my neighborhood and they're on edge. They don't know what to do because and the brother told me this. He said, man, what if I woke up one morning and these cats was doing to my family what I did to their family? A lot of these cats are on the street. That's their mental illness. That's their mental ill, and nobody cares. Nobody talks about it. And so when you see a lot of these cats on the street, that's what's going through their mind. Ask them their stories. You would trip out what they get because they're normally ignored and kicked to the curb by most of us. But a lot of these cats are in bad shape, y'all. And the only ones that's going to help them are us. Diamond in the rough, yeah, you can help with the show. You can come on and, show us how to, or tell us, or share your stories with us on how we can take better care of the earth. You're welcome anytime. You can do that, man. That'd be real cool. Lisa, did you want to talk about this brother right here on the street that's comfortable right here on the street? So where it looks like this brother's from. Trying to look with it from his jacket. Uh Detroit Lions. I don't know.
You can't go by what they put in the in the collection in the collection box. Oh well, any jacket, there's fans everywhere. But yeah, so um this thing,
He outside barefoot too, huh?
he's barefoot and sleeping comfortably in the sun. Okay, so we were actually driving by. Atlanta has a huge homeless population, but we have a particular guy in Decatur, South DeKalb to be exact, that he walks around with something that looks like just a lawn cloth, and he is chestnut brown, like roasted chestnut brown, very dark, and then his hair is like reddish, right? It's become reddish the more he's been out in the sun. It's gotten reddish, but our hair can do that. But anyway, he's got this reddish hair, and this really, really dark skin. And he's a youngish kind of guy, fit, and he's got, like I said, it looks like a long clothes because it was originally pants. Then he had whittled them down to shorts, and now it's like he's got no shirt and a long clothes on. He be standing in the middle of the parking lot, just chilling, stretching, talking to himself, walking down the street, wherever. Like you see him all over, mostly not all over, but you know, just in a certain area of South DeKalb, and everybody knows about him. Now, he's very content. He does not seem at all stressed, distressed, or anything. This guy is just like this guy is sleeping. So I think a lot of it is your perception, because although these people, he looks very comfortable. The guy, the young man in the neighborhood, he seems like he's in good. He's good. He's, you know, he doesn't have anybody telling him what to do. He ain't got no job. He don't have no bills. He don't have no concerns. He knows how to get money, food when he needs it. He ain't really concerned about, you know, shelter or anything like that. He's comfortable within the soil and within the concrete and within the ground. He's comfortable wherever he is. So who's really winning? When he's that comfortable anywhere, a disaster, corona didn't hurt the homeless. When you are used to living like this, what is going to take you down? It's only going to take down the people that are spoiled and comfortable. The people that are spoiled and comfortable are the ones crying if they don't have toilet paper. Who is really controlled? If you look at it like that, who's really free? I'm just saying. This is the world's most expensive bed. It is $150,000. It don't look like much of nothing to me. They customize it. They got a sleep counselor that's going to try to make it customized to what your sleep needs are.
$150,000 bed.
$150,000 bed. Yes, sir. So there are people who need to sleep on $150,000 bed. There are people who need a certain this, a certain that, a certain pillow, and they still can't sleep. They still can't sleep. They can't sleep. They don't have peace. The counselor better get in bed with me. I hear that. But yeah, $150,000. They sure need to hop in bed with you and serve you breakfast in bed as well. But that's the thing. You know, a lot of people, they got everything. Look at Michael Jackson. He was taking propofol to be able to sleep. He couldn't sleep. He was an insomniac. He could not go to sleep. He could not turn off. There are people, that is a horrible thing when people can't sleep. It is miserable. But there are a lot of people like that. People that ain't comfortable. No matter how much money they got the ocean at the back door. They got a beautiful bed that's $150,000. The room the size of most people's houses. And they still can't get rest. So who's really winning? Who's really bulletproof? Who's recession proof? Who is, you know what I mean? Who is really built for whatever disaster comes their way? Is the guy who's laying on the sidewalk taking a nap with his feet with shoes off. He's ready for whatever. Because can't nothing take him down. He's down already. And then he might not even perceive it as being down, to tell you the truth. Now, when I rolled away from the dude that walks around with the loincloth looking thing and went in another direction, I saw a brother that had a polo shirt on, and he was like, looking like he was in his 50s, haircut, did not look like he should be there with a sign saying he's a veteran, needs help. It looked like he was uncomfortable, embarrassed, possibly. Um, but think about it. Think about it. This guy probably is, because he might be somebody who just fell on some unfortunate something, staying at a hotel, and needs to get up that next night, or maybe even something to eat. He might be at that point, got to keep himself in the hotel for a night, the next couple of nights, and he had to resort to, begging on the street. I don't know. But people like that, yeah, because they don't feel like they should be out there like that. They feel like they need to be where they, in an apartment, in, something like that. But sometimes we got to be able to be more flexible with what is comfortable for us as well. You know what I mean? I was talking to my neighbor the other night, and she was saying, "Girl, I'm going to sell this house. I want to go get myself a trailer. I just want to get a little apartment somewhere." She said, "I really like to get a little trailer somewhere. Give me a little bit of land, get a little." I said, "Yeah, I actually have a trailer in Virginia." And I said, I got like a trailer for like $3,000, and it was pretty neat. I fixed it up, I bleached it out and painted it out, and man, I got some of the best sleep in that trailer, because like it's got so many windows. One of those old school trailers, so like it's all windows all around, so the breeze is crazy, and you hear the trees and rustling around you, and you wake up and you hear the bird. It's like I just loved it. I was in there in the cold and when it got warmer. I was there when it was like really cold, pretty cold in the winter. I didn't have no heat. I had just like my little space, a kerosene little thing, but and it cuts off, overnight. So you wake up, you're kind of cold. But I had my little sleep blanket. My sister told me that if she knows all these a lot of random information, but that if you put a sleeping bag blanket next to you, not even get in it, just in your bed, like one of those high, whatever insulating sleeping blankets, that it will keep you warm. Well, she was absolutely right. It's like having a body, I guess, next to you. I don't know, but the sleeping blanket was in the cover, under the covers next to me, and I stayed really warm under the blankets. It was crazy. But anyway, so yeah, that advice was right. But like I said, the work it's different because I didn't have a running water, so it was like a thing of like heating my water and taking my shower through my little, like I have like the little funnel shower thing in the shower in my RV bathroom. But anyway, I was it was like a roughing situation, but it was very comfortable. And then I would get up and go to the water and go look at the water, have sunrise, have some coffee, and look at the sunrise. It was cool. But like I said, this is the thing. We have to understand, what are we comfortable with? What are we really comfortable with? That's the key. And you could have everything on this planet and still be uncomfortable, you know. But what we can't let people tell us is tell us what we should have. See, this is the thing that happens. We watch these commercials, we watch these movies, and it has shaped what we think is normal. Oh, I gotta have this new Tesla because that's what's new. That's what's up. It's an electric car. Or I gotta have this Porsche or this Maserati, this whatever. I don't know what is being impacted into your brain. I gotta have these new Nikes, these, this, that. We get sold so much. We get told what we need to have to feel whole. And a lot of what we need to feel whole are things that are very superficial and unnecessary. We might need to change the way our perception on some of these things. We have them calling us African American. We accept that. We have them calling people trans. Our babies are trans babies. They, thems, and all this kind of stuff. We accept that. We have people calling us black. We accept that. And yet we're not going to willing to work to find out who we really are so we can give our descendants the truth and give them the facts of like, no, this is who we are, babies. This is what they can't tell us to do. We are not under their jurisdiction. And this United States has no jurisdiction over you, baby. Wouldn't you like to be that great grandparent? This United States don't have no jurisdiction over you. You are a whatever, a wackatoo. I should say that. You know, you know, a Trapatalk Indian. I don't know, but whatever you are, and whatever you find out about yourself, to be able to, at the very least, if you don't even repatriate, if you don't go through the whole reorganization process, at least if you get yourself to the point where you can tell your people, you know what, I don't mean I have the ability to get us there, but I can at least make sure everybody knows this is who we are. We have rights. We don't have to be under the system. We actually are these American Indians. This is our homeland over there in Alabama, over there in Mississippi, Arkansas, Texas. That's where our real homeland is. And baby, maybe you could go get it changed so we can live differently. Even if you're not willing to do this today, you should at least move enough so that you can tell your grandchildren, great-grandchildren, a cousin, a young nephew, a niece, your child, who they are, what their rights are, and what they're able to fight and get back if they organize themselves correctly. You should at least get yourself positioned so you can communicate it, if not do it. Does that make sense? Close my mind.
Makes a whole bunch of sense because, like you said, they're calling you. Remember, they're calling you names that are going to benefit them. One more time, they're calling you names that are going to benefit them. Diamond in the Rough says, just to know what and who I am and where I'm from is the goal. Cool. So check this out. This is one of the things I did, and this was cool. And of course, Miss Cypress helped me with a lot of this because this is what she did with her family. And she just passed the information on to me, and it works. So find the Indians who in the county from where your people come. I did that. So the name that I came up with, where my people were from, were Lettahatchee. But since that time, I've been doing more digging and stuff and came up with another group of people. Code name, Akanachaka.
Cool.
Akanachaka, off the hook. So it's like we saying Diamond in the Rough. Find those names, where your people are from that are not, colonizer sounding names like Birmingham and Dayton, Ohio, and stuff like that. Find those Indian names where you're from. And more than likely, when you check your people and find out where they're from, they'll be from around those areas. So that's a good place to start. And like she said, you don't have to go back as far as the 1700s. Go back to the late 1800s, middle 1800s.
Especially if with them being out in Arkansas and stuff like that. Sorry. Yeah. It's the goalposts are different the further you get away from the East Coast,
Right. So, so that's all I have for this evening. Lisa, you have anything else?
No, thank you very much. And I enjoyed I just want to let everybody know, please like, share, and subscribe. Let everybody know about this channel. This will be where you can find the Indigenous one, and lock it down, share it widely, make sure people know, share it in all your Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Share it everywhere you can, so they know where to find Carrie Davis, the Indigenous one.
And we're going to be back on regular schedule, if not this week, next week for sure. Okay, so that's going to be on Friday nights. Okay, so we thank all of you guys for hanging out with us tonight, and we'll see you next time. Peace out, y'all.